Well, hello there everybody, Dodgy Gamer. Welcome back to the channel for our first real episode, where we're going to take an in-depth look at the club and play our first game, Breaking the Big Three. It's back, baby. Here we are with Santa Clara in Portugal, and we are ready to kick things off. Before we get into the episode in full, I just want to talk to you a bit more, show you exactly where this club is in case you haven't heard of CD Santa Clara or you haven't heard of the Azores before. So I mentioned this was a very remote team. If you haven't watched that introductory episode, by the way, do go back and check it out, kind of talk a bit about the rationale behind this series, behind the idea of breaking the big three and why I've chosen this particular club. So here we see Portugal on the map. We've got Lisbon, we've got Porto, and you know that's where most of the teams in Portugal are based, but not all of them, of course. Portugal, much like Spain, has the Canary Islands and the Balearic Islands. Portugal has a couple of islands as well. Down here, just off the coast of Africa, we've got the Madeira Islands, which of course is where Cristiano Ronaldo is from. But a bit more out here in kind of almost the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, you've got a collection of islands called the Azores. There's quite a few islands there. The main one, San Miguel, this is where you'll find our club, Santa Clara. So I do believe, if we zoom out a bit more and just have a closer look, see Iceland up here. So I do believe they are perhaps, as far as top flight clubs go, the westernmost club in Europe. So one of the most remote clubs in Europe. So we want to take on the big boys from the mainland and break that big three of Porto, Benfica and Sporting Lisbon. We want to get into Europe as well and try our luck there. This does throw up some interesting possibilities because, of course, here, all the way out here, we could, in theory, maybe. What if we draw one of those Russian clubs? Like one of those clubs from central Russia, like Rubin Kazan, or one of those clubs that's kind of more out towards the east of Russia. That would be a mammoth European tie. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a look at the club. Alright, so welcome to the club. Welcome to Santa Clara. Welcome to the channel. If you're a new viewer, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. As I record this, we're very, very, very close to 750 subscribers, and I would love it for this video to kick the series off in style to reach that mini milestone of 750. And then, of course, once we hit 750, we're on that road to 1,000. So I hope you'll join me and support me in the way. Of course, if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your support so far. And if you're new, go ahead. The button's right down there. Right, so Santa Clara, let's take a look at the club info. You'll see here in terms of the aesthetics of the game, I've downloaded the Renzi purple skin, added in the stadium pictures and so on. So this is the Estadio de São Miguel, the St. Michael Stadium, which of course is the island we're based on. Youth facilities are not so great, so that's something we're going to be focusing on. That does tie into the objectives. Of course, they want us to bring young players into the team. You sell young players for profit, so hopefully the board are going to, once we're on a sounder financial footing, invest there. Training facilities below average, so you know there's a bit of work to be done. But we've got a national reputation. Our finances are okay. We'll go into the finances in a bit more detail in a moment. Professional squad personality, which we like to see. Now, Zilla Blitz was asking me about finances on that introductory episode because there was that part of the club vision when we took over that we were aiming for sustainability, self-sustainability within a few seasons. So looking at the finances, they're not too bad. We don't have a huge amount of money. We've got just shy of $1 million. Now, obviously, over the course of the season, that's probably going to whittle away. We might even go into the red a little bit. But if we look at debts and loans, nothing. No debt, no transfer debt, clean slate. So, but obviously, they want us to be careful with that. We're not a rich club, though, however. Wage budget, £45,000 a week. That's it. We're already spending most of that. We were actually spending a bit less. I had about £150,000 transfer budget. I shifted that all over to the wage budget because we were right on the limit of the wage budget. And that kind of restricted me when I tried to approach a few free agents to sign, when I tried to renew contracts within the club. The board was kind of stopping me from offering the players anywhere near what they wanted. So We adjusted the budgets. Most of that then went on renewing contracts of a few key players. If we have a look at those, Osama Rashid, I'm told, is one of the best players at the club. He's the club captain. You see, he's an Iraqi player, international, 22 caps for his country, central midfielder, can play as a deep line playmaker, which is fantastic. I like to use a deep line playmaker. If you followed my series for FM20 with FC Andorra and with the Cayman Islands, you will know that. So it's good to have someone who fulfills that role. One thing I would say, though, is 3.5 stars. So when we have a look at that, it says good player for most Liga NOS sides. So that's the top flight in Portugal. Now, we have a few players. We do have a player with a higher star rating, Fabio Cardoso, centre-back. So his ball-playing defender, again, that's something I like to utilise. And he is rated in the coach reports, again, as a good player for most Liga NOS sides. Where I get a slight concern is if we look at some of these 3-star players, like we've got this guy here, Pierre Sagna, 3-star fullback. So decent, you would say, but in terms of his ability, he's rated as a leading player for the division below. So a lot of our players are more of that standard. I mean, in real life, Santa Clara were promoted the season before last. Last season, I think they finished 10th in the league, although obviously it would have been a disrupted season due to COVID and so on. So that's something we have to look at, I think, over time. Obviously, we can't do it overnight, but we've got to get more players who are of a top flight standard. Now, transfers has been, a bit of a headache. It's been a bit of a challenge. Like I said, we didn't have a huge amount of wage budget to play with. Didn't really have any transfer budget, especially once I'd done that adjustment. As you can see here, 1.75k a week available. So this is something where, I don't want to start the series with a rant, but just something that annoys me about the game sometimes. Now, we've got this new recruitment meeting. I do like that feature. I think it's a much better way, much more realistic way. The manager sits down with the director of football, with the chief scout, with the recruitment analyst, and together we identify targets. Love that. What I don't love is one of the targets that was suggested to me, because we don't have a lot of depth in attack. We've got one striker available, so this was highlighted in the meeting. They suggested, the director of football and the chief scout said, we should check out Mario Balotelli. Free agent, of course, at the start of the game. So, right there and then, I clicked on his profile, offered him a trial. He agreed, he came. He played for us a couple of games in pre-season. His first game, he scored 2 goals. He set one up. He was really good, really high ratings in the games he played. So, of course, I offered him a contract. Now, you can see here, ultimately, he signed for Zenit St. Petersburg. He's on £34,500 a week, which is just 10,000 shy of our entire squad wage budget. So when I approached to open contract negotiations, his agent just said, my client doesn't feel you've got the financial muscle to offer him what he wants. 2 things annoyed me about this. First of all, if you think about it realistically, would a player agree to go on trial at a club if his agent is aware that that club does not have the financial muscle to offer what his client's expecting? Of course they wouldn't. He wouldn't even go on trial in the first place. The other thing that's annoying me is I've got these staff members whose job is to help me build my squad. I've got a director of football, I've got a chief scout, I've got a head recruitment analyst. Don't these people know what our financial situation is? Don't they know what we can offer in terms of salary? And then why are they pointing me in the direction of this player? It was just a waste of time. Okay, I think what's happening in the game is they look at our reputation, they look at the player's reputation, do they match up? Is the player likely to be interested? You just expect it to be a bit more in depth, that they're going to look at it and think, well, yeah, this player would be a good fit for our club, but he's out of our price range. Anyway, rant over. That very much affected our transfer policy, the fact that we just didn't have the money to offer out contracts. Now, these ins you see over here, most of these, up to and including Mikel Villanueva, these were transfers made before I came in. So I guess these are the real life signings for Santa Clara. this season. So there was quite a bit of business there anyway. I brought in 3 further players. These are all players for the future. They've got like 1.5, 2.5 star current ability. They've each got the potential to get to 3.5 or 4 stars. So signed for the future. Cian Flanagan, former Crystal Palace player, Irish lad. So he's come over. It's going to be a backup, nothing more. We've got a couple of young Germans. Maurik Dressen, I mean, he's not that great. Never going to be more than a backup. But I'm also thinking part of the club vision, isn't it? They want us to bring in young players with a view to selling them in the future. So hopefully he'll satisfy that criteria. Most promising out of the 3, Yanis Kubler, who we've brought in. So 2 star is his current ability, but you see his potential 4.5 stars. So he could reach that level, that top flight level in Portugal. So we'll be looking to bring him along. But any other player I went in for, either their wage demands were way out of our range. I did, of course, later. Some of you may have thought of this already, but I started to use the speak to agent button before offering trial contracts and so on, because of course then the agent will say straight up, no, you can't offer my client what he wants. There were a couple of others that we went in for who would have been really good additions, but there were lots of interest in them, and those players went elsewhere. This was the biggest one we missed. Andre Pinto, former Portuguese international, has played for Portugal once. He eventually went to Fenerbahce. They paid him 6.75 a week. I mean, the board were willing to let me go to about 4,500 a week, but obviously he went for the bigger offer. And we also missed out on Yaya Toure. He did come to us on trial, played really well, and we offered him a contract, but ultimately he went off to France. So not the best of transfer windows so far. Of course, it's still ongoing with the way the game's set up at the start this year. There's probably still a couple of weeks of the transfer window to go. So maybe we can still get some people in, but it's not looking too promising. Anyway, it's the opening day of the season. We are playing Farense. Now, Farense are a team who were promoted last season, so hopefully they're predicted to finish last as well when we look at the media predictions. So hopefully we can, you see, media prediction 18th, hopefully we can start with a win. Okay, so we've got the tactical meeting here. I mean, I found this in the beta as well. They're always telling me to either increase attack or defensive duties, but I generally ignore them. The thing about changes to the team, I'll talk you through when I show you the lineup, because this is very familiar formation for me. 4-2-3-1. I mean, with the players I've got, this was the best option, I think. I mean, we've got some guys who are good in these kind of flat back 4 positions, not so great in the more advanced wing back positions. We've got players who can fulfill the kind of roles I want on the wings. As I said, we've only got one decent striker, this guy, Thiago Santana. So I didn't really want to play 2 up front, because then I wouldn't have any backup for either of those 2. Now, this is where the AI or the assistant manager keeps trying to get me to change things. I set it up like this because Carlos Jr. is right-footed, but great as an inside forward on the left. That's where I want him to be. That's a big part of the way that we play. Now, Lincoln and Costina, they can both play pretty much anywhere across this attacking midfield line. But this, in my opinion, is the best way to set them up. Costina as an out-and-out winger on the right, and Lincoln in the advanced playmaker role. What the game keeps trying to make me do is put Lincoln on the left, Carlos Jr. on the right, and Costina in the middle, which doesn't fit in with the whole inside forward concept, because Lincoln is left-footed. So anyway, I keep overruling them on that. Alright, so we're ready to kick things off here. First league match of the season. We're at home in the Azores, hosting Farense. Hopefully we're going to get to start with a positive result as heavy favourites. Let's see, with the first action, it goes to Farense, but dispossessed by Carlos Jr. Plays in Thiago Santana. Oh, he gets a second shot. Both of them were blocked, though. Carlos Jr., though, he's upended. Is that going to be a penalty? Looked like it was just outside the area, but we've got some VAR action already. The referee runs off to check it out. Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if that was outside of the area. We'll see what the VAR says. And VAR's decision is as we get the whole thing. No penalty yet. Free kick just outside the area, but dangerous position. Hopefully we can get something from here. Costina whips it in, and it's a goal. Yes, it's a goal. Mikel Villanueva, but no, we've got VAR again. Oh, double VAR. They're checking it for offside this time. Let's have a look. Goal disallowed. Okay, I guess VAR's going to be involved quite heavily this season. Well, halfway through the first half, finally we get another highlight. We've been waiting a while. Let's see, it's our ball, but Farense have picked that up there. They've intercepted and they've launched the counter-attack. Hopefully they're not going to score off this one. Oh, they get a second chance there, but luckily for us, sails over the bar. Out for a goal kick. That's their first real chance, you see, on the XG score. They're not faring too well. A 0.08, whereas we're on a 0.7. But we haven't really had, a decent chance since that opening VAR double barrel. Anyway, here comes Carlos Jr. He's got it inside the box. He's been upended again. It's going to be another penalty review. Off goes the referee for the second time this match, all the way out to the monitor. Now, obviously there's no doubt here about if that happened in or outside the box, but I think it's just, was it a foul or not? I'm pretty hopeful, though, that we're going to get something from this. Has the penalty been awarded? Yes, it has. So we've got the captain, Osama Rashid. He's going to take the penalty. Let's have a look. Is he going to put this one away for our first goal of the season? Yes. Good stuff. Right on the half-hour mark. 1-0. Captain Marvel Osama Rashid puts us in front. Let's have a look at the replay. Confidently taken penalty. The keeper guessed the right way, but he just couldn't get to it. It was right inside the post. Well taken shot. I'm going to give them a bit of praise there that, they've managed to, although we haven't scored from open play, they have managed to take the lead that our play deserves. They've all reacted pretty well to that. I was one for the praise button in Football Manager 2020. I remember in the past it used to almost automatically lead to complacency, but now it seems to have the desired effect. So, half-time, we're 1-0 up. We probably should be 2 up. I think there's a good case for that. They've hardly created anything so far. So I'm going to go with, you've played well, but there's room for improvement. Lincoln's looking a bit nervous. I'm not sure why, but there's a lot more to come from you. You've got what it takes. Not making any changes at half-time. I've noticed a familiar-looking name in the Farense lineup. Ryan Gold, Scottish player they've got. So former Dundee United by the looks of it. So yeah, Dundee United transferred to Sporting for 2.4 million, but obviously didn't quite work out for him there. Spent more time in the B team, out on loan, and then eventually transferred to Farense for an undisclosed fee. Anyway, back to the match. Let's see if we can get a second goal on the score sheet. Put things beyond doubt. Right, so just put on run at the defence because our wingers are definitely having a lot of joy. We're definitely doing well on this left side where we've got the overlap. So I'm going to put the right-hand overlap on as well, and hopefully that's just going to bring us a little bit more of an edge because we haven't really done much in this second half. To be fair, neither of our opponents, but, we've got to watch out for a sneaky goal from them, a sneaky counter-attack to level things up. Right, then time to think substitutions. As Lincoln is feeling a bit apprehensive, we're going to put someone else into that central attacking midfield role. So we're going to bring in Kryzan there, who's going to play a bit more of an attacking role. And also, as he's on a yellow, I'm going to take off Carvalho and bring on one of our new boys, Yanis Kubler. We'll let him make his debut. All right, substitutions made then. I'm not sure what to do here. I don't want to shout demand more because I think they will react negatively to that as we are actually winning. But there's nothing to praise them for yet in the second half either. Right, we're probably going to look at one last substitution then as we enter the final few minutes. A bit of a drab game, it has to be said, so I think we need to look at making this tactic something where we can capitalise a bit more against weaker teams like these. Carlos Jr.'s run himself into the ground today, so we're going to take him off. We'll bring on Jean-Patrick. Just tell him there's no pressure on him because he is looking a bit nervous. And that'll be our final substitution for the day, I believe. I didn't check, actually, if you're allowed to do more than 3 substitutions here in the Portuguese league. Probably should look that kind of thing up, shouldn't I? So, there we go. Took a penalty to win it. A bit of a VAR drama in the first half. But, they never really threatened. They didn't have any decent chances at all. We probably should have grabbed another goal. I mean, that's what the story, the XG, is telling us. But we didn't really, apart from that penalty, have any great clear-cut chances. So that's something to work on to get a bit more attacking ahead of the next game. But anyway, into the dressing room. We'll tell the boys it was a good win. Yeah, it was decent enough. That's the kind of game that we need to win if we're going to avoid the relegation battle, which is what they want us to do this year. So we've got to make sure we're never sucked into that bottom 5 of the table or anything like that. Okay, could I have wished for a better start? Well, I'm pleased with the win, but early days, isn't it? So anyway, 3 points on the board. Only 1 goal, so we're back in 6th. Of course, the table's pretty meaningless at this point in the season. But we'll just have a quick look at the fixtures we've got coming up and talk a little bit about where we might come back in for the next episode. So, next game against Moreirense, that's another one where I think we have to be targeting a positive result. Then we've got a couple of toughies. We've got Rio Ave, we've got away games to Porto and Benfica coming up in October. But I think we're going to try and get a chunk of these games out of the way. We'll save the big boys, Porto, Benfica, Sporting. We'll save them for a bit later, maybe the second half of the season when we host them. Don't know what I was talking about there. So we're going to play through. We're going to play through September, October. We might come back. Obviously, I think that's just a little visual display bug, UI bug, perhaps, that they've listed Familco's game twice. Maybe we'll come back for that one, or we'll come back for December. We've got a couple of big games there as well. We've got Braga, we've got Boa Vista, we've got Sporting away as well. So we'll probably come back for one of those games in December. I'll save the big 3 for later in the season when we're going to play them at home. So there we go. First match done. Positive result. Let me know what you think down in the comments of the squad. I mean, I do think we need to strengthen. It's just our hands are a bit tied by our finances at the moment. And what do you think of the tactic and the way we were set up to play? What do you think we can be doing to get some more goals on the board? What do you think of our chances for this season? Can we reach that board target of staying away from the danger zone? But for now, thank you very much for watching. Please hit that like button if you've enjoyed today's episode. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I'm Dodgy Gamer. See you again soon.